Miami Vice moves like a cold current. Sonny Crockett and Ricardo Tubbs spend the whole film slipping between public spaces and private threats, where the difference between talking and dying is sometimes less than a second. The violence never feels theatrical. It feels like it shows up when someone's already decided the outcome, ruthless and without mercy. That's why the gun choices matter so much. They're modern, controlled, and almost understated until they suddenly aren't. So why do these firearms feel steady in the calm and genuinely menacing the instant they're used? Sonny Crockett uses a Strayer-Voigt TIKI-T in the early undercover stretch, when he's moving like a guy who belongs in expensive rooms and dangerous conversations. It's a high-end 1911 and 2011 style pistol, which means single-action DNA and a design culture that prizes a consistent trigger feel and tight lockup over issued simplicity. The TIKI-T name gets tied to titanium components, which is a premium way to cut weight while keeping strength where the gun takes stress. Custom builds like this tend to lean into modern refinements, clean controls, match-grade mindset, and a feel that signals deliberate choice instead of default carry. It's quiet confidence sitting on the hip. From there, by the curb and parked cars, his partner's planer .45 shows up, and the key detail is a decocker built for steady, no-drama control. Rico Tubbs carries a Sig Sauer P220R early on, when the job still looks like something training and procedure can handle. The P220 is most commonly seen here in .45 ACP, built around a traditional double-action/single-action system with a frame-mounted decocking lever instead of a manual safety. In .45, it's typically a single-stack layout, which keeps the grip slimmer than many double-stack .45s, and the common magazine format in that configuration sits around 8 rounds, depending on the exact version. The R matters because it adds an accessory rail up front, a very mid-2000s duty detail that quietly says, "This is meant to work in the dark." It's not flashy, and that's what makes it feel cold when it gets drawn. That leads straight to the highway shoulder, where something long reaches in from far away, and the giveaway is a huge muzzle brake meant to tame 50 Browning machine gun. Coleman's crew uses a Barrett M82A1 during the brutal roadside ambush that wipes out undercover agents with a speed that feels cruel. The M82A1 is a recoil-operated, semi-automatic 50 caliber rifle with a rotating bolt, and it commonly feeds from a 10-round box magazine that looks oversized because the cartridge is oversized. That massive muzzle brake isn't decoration. It's there because 50 caliber recoil and blast are brutal enough that the rifle has to manage its own violence just to stay controllable. The platform is famous for anti-materiel work, equipment, barriers, engines, so its presence carries a specific message. A car is not cover, it's just a thin container. In this movie, it's the moment you realize distance can still feel personal. After that, when the operation turns into movement and handoffs, the next long gun doesn't look big at all, and the tell is a compact Swiss rifle with a folding stock and translucent mags that clip together. Sonny Crockett runs a Swiss Sig 5.52 once the undercover work turns into travel, transfers, and decisions made inside vehicles. The Sig 5.52 is the compact member of the Sig 550 series family, chambered in 5.56 and built around a gas piston system with a rotating bolt, which is a reliability-first layout for hard use. The side-folding stock keeps it tight around door frames and seats, and the family is known for translucent polymer magazines that can clip together. commonly seen in 20 or 30 round formats, depending on configuration. Compared to bulkier carbines, it looks controlled and engineered, like it was designed to live close to the body without snagging. That controlled look is part of the menace. It feels like a tool chosen ahead of time. From there, at the staging table and gear handoff rhythm, a stranger AR-shaped gun appears, and the key detail is that it stays compact because there's no buffer tube sticking out the back. Zito carries an Olympic Arms OA93 as the team's compact 5.56 option when the operation shifts into vehicles, quick exits, and fast handoffs. And you see it again in a suppressed setup when discretion becomes the whole point. The OA93 is an AR-15 derivative pistol introduced in the early 1990s, and its identity comes from relocating the recoil system so it doesn't need the standard AR buffer tube. Instead, the recoil assembly lives up top, giving it that distinctive rail and tube look above the upper receiver. That design trick is why it stays short while still accepting AR pattern magazines and staying inside the same 5.56 ecosystem as more conventional rifles. With a suppressor up front, it becomes a long cylinder silhouette on a very small receiver. Less style, more quiet intent. Like the gun is built to show up close and end the conversation fast. That pushes the story into a rescue that gets tight and ugly, where the next rifle is compact, polymer-heavy, and instantly recognizable by see-through magazines that can snap together. Gina Calabrese runs a Heckler & Koch G36C in the trailer park raid when the rescue attempt collapses into thin walls, narrow lanes, and sudden gunfire. The G36C is the compact NATO version of HK's late 1990s G36 family, built around a short-stroke gas piston and a rotating bolt, a setup meant to stay reliable when conditions get dirty and humid. The platform is famous for heavy polymer construction, receiver shell, furniture, and the side-folding stock, which keeps weight down and helps resist corrosion in wet, hot air. The translucent magazines are a signature too, commonly seen in 30-round form, and they can clip together side by side, which matches the rifle's whole practical and fast personality. It's modern, light, and brutally functional, which is why it feels so cold in that setting. From there, right at the mobile home doorway and the debris-strewn yard, a shotgun takes over. And the key detail is a gas system designed to keep a semi-auto 12-gauge cycling under stress. Rico Tubbs shoulders a Benelli M4 Super 90 during the trailer park violence, when a handgun stops feeling like enough. The M4 is a 12-gauge semi-automatic shotgun using Benelli's Argo system, twin short-stroke gas pistons driving a rotating bolt, built specifically to run hard even when it's dirty and being pushed fast. It's closely associated with the U.S. Marine Corps M1014 designation, which is why the profile carries an immediate, serious duty reputation, even in a quick cut. Tube-fed capacity varies by configuration, but the identity stays fixed. Fast, repeat shots with full 12-gauge authority delivered with minimal drama. In a tight environment, it's a blunt instrument that ends arguments quickly. And once the story slides into the industrial endgame, the opposing side answers with a full-power 7.62 rifle, and the giveaway is a roller-delayed system paired with a collapsing stock. Jose Hierro brings a Heckler & Koch HK91A3 into the shipyard firefight when everything finally breaks into open, chaotic violence. The HK91 is the civilian G3 pattern rifle in 7.62mm NATO, and its defining feature is HK's roller-delayed blowback system. No gas piston, just mechanical delay and mass controlling the cycle in a way that feels distinct from the piston-driven 5.56 rifles earlier. Standard magazines are 20-round box mags, and the full-power 7.62 cartridge changes the texture immediately. Heavier recoil impulse and more authority through barriers than 5.56. The A3 retractable stock variant shortens it for moving through industrial clutter, while fixed stock versions keep the same core mechanism and threat. It's heavy, direct, and unforgiving, and it drops the movie's temperature to its lowest point. And when the echoes die between the containers, your brain flashes back to that earlier, distant crack, because the pattern finally makes sense. These gun choices feel steady in the calm and menacing in use, because Miami Vice keeps picking firearms that look like tools selected ahead of time, not weapons grabbed in panic. Crockett's high-end pistol reads like quiet control, until the story proves control doesn't soften consequences. The Barrett turns distance into something personal. The SIG 5.52 and OA93 make compact feel deliberate instead of desperate. And the G36C shows up the moment a tight space becomes a trap. Then the Benelli M4 and HK91 turn that intent into something loud and final. The takeaway is simple. The hardware stays clean, but the movie never lets it feel safe.